talk about a success story here. There, in the Harvard Business Review article that I just showed you, I'm going to tell you a story from there. You can still go read it, but people don't read anymore. So there was a company that decided they wanted to build really cool, sleek townhomes for seniors who were downsizing, so that when they went from their big house, they would have this epically cool, really nice, sleek place to move into. And so they spared no expense and built these townhomes, and they got their first row of them up and everything. And they're like, look, it's close to this, it's close to that. They did a ton of focus groups on what kind of appliances should we have, and what kind of finishes should we have, and what should the location be, and all this. And so they're like, yeah, we know what we're doing. We've got this marketed, no problem. In a hot real estate market, they put these things on the market. Crickets. No one is interested in these things. People come, they walk, they look, they don't buy. And they're like, we must have done something wrong. So they go back and they get their focus group again. And they say, we're just going to interview seniors, bias, who are downsizing, and we'll just ask them what they think about these things again. And so they're like, well, what could we improve? And what would make this your perfect home and everything? And they're like, well, I like breakfast nooks, and I like bay windows, and they get them all together, and they have their little, 12 Angry Men session, and they go and say, okay, we've got to change a bunch of stuff. So they make this giant bathroom, because they're like, those are pretty bathrooms, and they put in the bay window, and they put in the breakfast nook, put it back on the market, lower the price. Crickets. They're like, we've got a serious problem. We only have one more shot at getting this right. So they hire a brand experience designer. Not me. One like me. And they say, great brand experience designer, can you go to our people and can you do this qualitative research and tell us what it is that we're missing here? Because we're missing something. We don't know what we're missing. So the designer went and interviewed all the people, and they said, you know what, I think you're looking too narrow. I think what you really need to do is think about anyone who's downsizing. Because downsizing isn't just for older adults. Downsizing is for someone who gets a divorce, maybe. Downsizing is for someone who moves to Denver from somewhere else. Downsizing can happen in a variety of ways to a variety of ages. Let's instead look at what downsizing truly means. And when they did this data and they did these talks, the stuff that came out wasn't about, floor plans and how close it is to things. Yeah, it's important. The stuff that came out was like, I got stuff. With the older people, it's like, our dining room table is where we watched our kids grow up. And our kids aren't old enough yet to have a place big enough to put the dining room table and hand it down to, but we're not ready to give that up yet. We still want to entertain. I can't put it in there. There's a breakfast nook away, right? And then, they're like, and we have all this stuff, now we got to figure out a storage unit. And if we don't want a storage unit, how do we figure out what we keep and what we don't keep? And in the divorce, it's the same thing. I just got divorced. I don't want to think about all this stuff. I just want to move in and start over. If you're moving to a new city and you're like, I want my stuff, but I don't know how I fit in with this yet, right? All of these things. And then how am I going to have time to sort it? It's all exhausting. The whole concept of downsizing is exhausting. Moving is awful as it is, but downsizing? Right? So the designer came back and said, let's talk about the outcome we actually want to create here for these people. Let's not talk about the marketing. Let's not talk about anything. What's the outcome we need here? We need them to feel like doing this is easy. Doing this has been thought of by us, and we understand and we feel their pain, right? We feel it. And we need to talk about that. In this case, guess what, guys? Your product is kind of boned. So you're going to have to spend a little more money and fix your townhomes. And guess what? You're going to have to undo a couple of those things you focus grouped and decided to put in, because it ain't working. We can't market it. It's not solving those pain points. So they went back and said, all right, you know those garages that you just built because you're starting on your second set of townhomes? You're not building the second set of townhomes yet. We got to get these sold first. So you know what you're going to do? You're going to take those garages and you're going to provide free storage for the first year for all of your people that buy the townhome. Now they have somewhere to put their stuff and still park their car. Yay, win. Okay? Secondly, yeah, you know that bathroom you just built that you can bowl in? We're going to take that down to more of a reasonable sized bathroom, and we're going to create a sorting room where they can put their stuff that they're like, do I need it? Do I not need it? I'm not sure. We're going to put it in there, and that way when they have company, they just close the door. They don't have to be out a guest room when friends come or family. They don't have to frantically clean the house. They can just have the room of requirement, Harry Potter, so that they can do whatever they need to do with that, right? And lastly, that breakfast nook, gone, right? We're also going to change the configuration just a little bit in the living room dining area so they can fit that big table. And it looks right. And they can still host the big family dinner that they want to do. Or maybe they've never done it before because they are moving out here and this is their first foray on their own. And they're like, I want to have the family come to me. That means a lot. So they did all these things. And then when they did the marketing, they didn't talk about, oh, it's, prime real estate. Oh, it's got stainless steel stuff. It's got all the best things. They're like, hey, we've got a spot automatically for you to put your stuff. You've got this sorting room. Bring the table. Bring your furniture. We've thought about that. Don't worry about having to sell all the stuff. Bring it. Bring it. We'll make it work. And the experience designer also said, guess what? You know how you lowered the price before? We're adding 50%. And they were like, oh my God. I'm like, look, we got to make up some costs here, first of all. And secondly, they'll love it. Put it on the market, first 2 weeks, sold out, waiting list for the next 2 builds. Not 1, 2 sets of builds. People were throwing money at them. Stood. The marketing talked to what people needed to hear and feel and understand. The focus groups didn't get there. The biases didn't get there. The CEOs couldn't get there. Everybody was so on their thing. It's got to be done like this because that's how everybody else is doing it. And it damn near bankrupted them. But once they stopped for a second, backed up and said, who are we really trying to help here? How does this fit into what it is they're trying to accomplish? What outcome are they trying to get? Magic.